Hello and welcome to Back to the Feature with Evan and Gabby. Double features, double takes. This is the podcast where we talk about two movies, one new, one older, what makes them a good pair, and how the history of films influences the present.
I'm Evan.
And I'm Gabby. And today we are discussing One Battle After Another and The French Connection. Two films that feature equal amounts of paranoia, tactically shot car chases, Christmas time elements, and questionable choices in hats.
Whoa, so many links. I didn't even realize it.
I wanted to add another one because when I rewatched French Connection, I was like, whoa, this score is so propulsive. And
I know.
It has to have been an influence.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll certainly get into it, but first, some movie news, some things that have come out recently. Avatar 2, the re-release, stole my idea. If you haven't heard, Avatar 2 is re-releasing in theaters. It's kicking One Battle After Another out of the IMAX, I believe. And it's also... I think so.
I'm going to need a moment of silence for that. That's unacceptable from James Cameron.
All right, here we go. Moment of silence. Okay, so Avatar 2 stole my idea because before the screening, you're going to be able to see, if you go to see the movie, you're going to be able to see a new scene from Avatar 3, Fire and Ash, but different screenings will have different scenes. It won't be the same scene at every screening. So if you're, all the true Avatar heads, I'm sure are going to be out for this one, all the ones who saw the Cirque du Soleil show. Gabby, are you going to see Way of Water in theaters again?
Absolutely not. Although I did think that it might be a unlike prank idea to take my partner to a movie and be like, yeah, we're going to see After the Hunt. I know you've been really looking forward to this one. And then it's just like, bam, Way of Water 2. She's a Na'vi hater.
Oh, man.
As a lot of us are. But they really did take your idea for this.
Yeah, I also will say there was a great... No, it wasn't a tweet. It was a thread on Threads. It was a great thread that I saw about somebody being like, this moment is the biggest moment in the Avatar franchise. And it was like the ramifications of this event in the Way of Water are huge. Like, all the fans are talking about it. I was like, this has never screamed fake account more to me, because who is talking about the ramifications of XYZ event? If I save the screenshot, I'll pop it on screen in the edit, because I was like, what are we talking about, guys? What are we doing?
What are we doing? I mean, I guess making money is the answer. Like, making money and promoting Avatar 3, which they haven't been doing a ton of yet. And yeah. I feel like with Avatar 2, the promo tour started at like 6 months out, maybe. Like, they were really trying to do a slow roll hype. And now, we're 3 months out from Avatar 3, and they're like, okay, guys, it's crunch mode.
Well, I think one of the big things was that Avatar 2 came out almost nearly 10 years after the first film, right? Mm-hmm. So even though there had been so many random things like the video games and the Cirque du Soleil show and the world and the park and Disney or whatever it was, I think people just kind of forgot, right? And they needed that. They probably were like, we need to do a very calculated rollout of this. Also, in summer, it's hot. What's going to cool you down better than a nice trailer for The Way of Water?
And now it's winter and we want more Fire and Ash.
Warm up this Christmas with Fire and Ash.
Oh my
coming
God.
From James Cameron.
It's going to be like the Romare Seasons movies, but Avatar.
Oh, sure, yeah. Oh my God.
That's how we're going to market this when the Avatar films get a Criterion release in 2057.
I mean, just like Avatar: The Last Airbender, right? Just the elements, core elements, seasons elements.
Something else James Cameron will have stolen.
All right. Well, in other news, the Social Network 2 has finally gotten a title, The Social Reckoning, coming 2026. The sequel no one asked for.
talk about putting a rush on something coming out in 2026. Is Aaron Sorkin just thinking like that this is so timely and topical that he has to get it out? Or is he sensing that 2026 might be a thin Oscars year? What is going on here?
Probably a little column A, little column B, you know? This is not what I want. This is not what anyone wants, but we received confirmation that Jeremy Strong will be playing Mark Zuckerberg after Jesse Eisenberg wants absolutely nothing to do with Mark Zuckerberg or this sequel. Good for him. We also have Mikey Madison and Jeremy Allen White in the cast. Good casting, as most of Aaron Sorkin's movies have. What will remain to be seen is the quality and length of the movie, because every time he directs something, it's bad. Yeah. That's
my take.
Yeah, I do wonder. I mean, like, this is going to be about, you know, according to Variety here, telling the true story of how Francis Hagen, a young Facebook engineer played by Mikey Madison, enlists the help of Jeff Horowitz, Jeremy Allen White, a Wall Street Journal reporter, to go on a dangerous journey that ends up blowing the whistle on the social network's most guarded secrets. So, it seems like maybe Jeremy Strong's character maybe not in the background by any means, right? But, the core focus might just be this investigation, maybe a little bit more spotlighty. Maybe we need a movie like that for our current times.
I mean, that would interest me more than a movie about Mark Zuckerberg and how he kind of morphed into what he is today. I don't think anyone is going to the theaters to see that, but, maybe it'll surprise us. Maybe it will be, Jeremy Strong supporting. Seems to be his favorite category. After last year, he was nominated in supporting for The Apprentice. And this year, it seems like he's going to be making a run at it for the Bruce Springsteen biopic. Maybe our number one boy is actually a number 2 or 3 boy.
Well, the number one boy in my heart, I suppose. Speaking of boys, Denis Villeneuve, it's been announced that he'll be looking for a new James Bond this year into next. Allegedly, it will be a fresh face, quote unquote, British male actor. I think this is really interesting. In the sense that I'm not someone who has been very... I haven't watched a ton of the James Bond movies, just admittedly. Even the more recent ones I've seen bits and pieces of. But I've always wanted to check them out. I just didn't know where to start. And then just one of those things. I'm like, well, I guess I'm not watching. But the speculation around James Bond has always, whoever the next one will be, quote unquote, has always been of interest because it's so... everyone talks about it, and there's so many names that have been like thrown out there. I think it's smart to go with like a quote unquote new face, but what do you think?
I completely agree. I think that this coming out is to mostly lay to rest all of the incessant internet rumors of the past few months since Denis took over, that it would be Tom Holland, or that it would be Callum Turner, or like a lot of the British new age of actors that have already kind of had their shine, have had their moment, or are rising in their own right. So I think that this is smart, and I think that this is taking the Daniel Craig approach. Honestly, again, I know that they're looking for somebody younger this time around. They want to do like a young Bond, but if I don't know if people can remember this far back. We were very young when Daniel Craig took the helm as James Bond, but he was not super well known. Like, he was not a huge name. He was not who people were, guessing about on Reddit for months and months. And he turned out to kill it. Like, it was an amazing role for him. So I have total faith in Denis. I think that he's fantastic at casting his movies. See Dune for a recent example. Oh, you're not a Dune guy? You just made a face.
No. I think I was making a face because of some stuff no outside noises. But
I was gonna say,
actually,
are you slighting Timmy?
I am publicly on record not being a Dune guy.
Okay, well,
so I don't know why. I was like, I could have leaned into it, I guess.
God. I mean, I was not a Dune person at all until the movies came out, which makes me a fake fan, and I understand that. I had many boyfriends try and coax me into getting into Dune in high school, and I was just like, sounds boring, sounds lame, sounds like the Bible, and I was like already going to Catholic school. I don't need more Bible. So the movies really turned me around on Dune, and I think that he did a great job casting Timothée Chalamet. I think that that it kind of leans into this public perception of Timmy as like the chosen boy of the next generation of movie stars in a really cheeky way. So I trust Denis on this. I think we're going to get a really fun, new, dashing, handsome Bond. And it will probably cause zero controversy, right? Everyone's going to be really normal about it.
Yeah, I think, to look at a bad example, this is kind of when Alden Ehrenreich was cast as a young Han Solo. And there was a lot of pressure riding on him, right, to take up the mantle of that character for a relatively unknown actor. However, this is a character that had only ever had one major iteration, right? And not many, many iterations. So a little bit of a different thing there. Also can draw some comparisons recently to Baz Luhrmann's new movie. It's going to be a Joan of Arc film. You know, your feelings on Baz Luhrmann and Elvis, especially his latest movie aside, the young actress playing Joan of Arc, Isla Johnston, is a relative unknown. I think her biggest credit may be a young Beth Harmon in Queen's Gambit. So
excellent.
She's like 18, very young. There was a big kind of spread for her, big PR push to be like, this is Joan of Arc. And so, let's do that again with Bond.
Yeah, okay. I'm in.
Incredible.
And speaking of being in, I have never been more seated than I was in my entire movie-going life than I have for One Battle After Another.
That is true.
Evan, as just a friend and a fellow movie lover, can attest to this and can attest that I have been banging the drum for this movie all year, even though there were many lunatics, haters, and punk trash out there that denied, that tried to take away from this movie's shine. There were doubters. There were people that were like, oh no, they gave Paul Thomas Anderson too much money. It's never going to work. And to them, I say this movie has an A cinema score, I believe a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, and Leonardo DiCaprio at his best girl dad loser mode. My favorite kind of Leo.
Yeah, at time recording, currently a 96 on critics, 86 audience on Rotten Tomatoes. But hey, let's get that back up 1%.
Let's get that back up. Let's go back to see it. Evan, you've mentioned that you've been wanting to see it again. Now's your chance. We got to get those numbers up for PTA.
We got to get listed as official Rotten Tomatoes tomato critics.
Let's
and we'll get those numbers back up. No.
Let's do it. And then we'll officially be like turning the tides on when we're like, oh, take Rotten Tomatoes with a grain of salt. We'll be like completely tomato pilled.
Getting a hat that says I'm tomato pilled. That's pretty good.
Evan Yee tomato pilled me.
All right. Well, how did we see this movie? We saw this movie together. I feel like we should start a list on our letterbox of like which ones we saw together.
Oh,
I think it was just it's Weapons and this.
Yeah,
and one more? No, Weapons and
together.
this.
We saw Together.
And we saw Together. Yeah, that's right. Oh, we saw Together, not Weapons. Yeah, I forgot. Mix them up.
Never mind. But this was a really cool experience. We went to I believe the second showing on the very first day that this movie was being shown in 70 millimeter IMAX at Universal City Walk. Evan and I were there at 11 p.m. And the movie started crisply at 11 p.m. How refreshing. Thank you, AMC.
Yeah, and we didn't even have to pay for parking. That's a hack. In case you're curious, if you go to the Universal City Walk late enough, you won't have to pay for parking.
No one's there. Nobody is there. I like stopped at the booths. I thought that they were going to stop my car. Nope.
Yeah. No, you just
save yourself $5.
But when I parked, because I was running late, I was coming from another event, and this has been, this knowing that I was going from one event to another. God, one event after another, huh? Talk about that. I was. I was really nervous, and so when I got there, it was like 10:50, and I parked, and I was like running out of my car. I was like, "Oh my god, I got it!" Because it's a long walk from the parking garage to the theater. I was like running, and these dudes were taking their sweet time, and I was like kind of stuck behind them for a second. I was like, I know they're doing the same exact thing I'm doing, but they don't know. They probably don't know there's not trailers, or if they do, they're not nervous. But I have to go I have to sit down and get my seat next to Gabby. And it worked out, and we saw it very late at night. I asked Gabby to get me a soda, which I still owe you money for. But I was nervous I was gonna fall asleep, and man, we were just in the whole movie.
We're in.
Yes, yeah.
There's a lot of talk around which way is the best way to see this movie online, and particularly in film-heavy cities like Los Angeles. And so I loved seeing it in IMAX 70. Didn't think it could get much better than that. But then I had the privilege to see it in VistaVision, as Paul Thomas Anderson has been touting that on the press tour for this movie. This is the first movie to be shown in VistaVision in over 50 years. VistaVision, originally a type of filmmaking that was coined by Paramount, I believe, and was kind of just, a pain in the ass. So we we got rid of it. But it's beautiful to behold if you can see it that way. There are currently only 3 theaters in the whole country that can show the film that way. One of them in New York, one of them here, our very own Vista Theater, and one in Boston, where Evan and I went to college. Have we been to the Coolidge Corner Theater, Evan? Have you?
I went to the Coolidge Corner once or twice. I definitely went to the Brattle more than the Coolidge Corner. Yeah,
so did I, but I do remember the Coolidge. Glad that they got that VistaVision up and running for the East Coast PTA heads.
And then one theater in London as well. And I think for people who might be a little confused about like VistaVision, or like why it's only shown in like a few places, like you said, Gabby, it was kind of like an older format that kind of evolved into IMAX 70. Like Paramount was experimenting with like bigger formats and how they could achieve it. So they literally took 35 millimeter film and like rotated it the other way. And they're like, and now it's taller or longer, whichever one, And what you said is correct. This is the first time a film has been projected in VistaVision, or a new film at least, shot and projected in a long time, right? So that is like, you're kind of getting the full native experience of being like this, it was shot this way and it's being shown this way.
Yes,
as
for
opposed
whatever
to other
reason,
like shot something and then shown a different way, right?
Yes, for whatever reason, The Brutalist from last year was shot in VistaVision, but was not projected in VistaVision. So PTA really has been making that distinction and taking his crown with this one. And I'm really, really glad that I got to see it that way. I saw it at the Vista on Friday night, and it was absolutely packed. I want to say, for the record, that I got there an hour ahead of time, because usually, if you're local and you've been to the Vista Theater, you know that there's no assigned seating. So you kind of have to get there. If you want a certain seat, you got to get there when the doors open. And usually there's like a tiny line of people, like the diehards that are there that want their center seats in the back. But this time it was around the building, around the corner, Evan. There were just hundreds of people lined up to see this movie at 11 p.m. on a Friday night in Los Angeles. Those are the diehards. And I did count, in case you were wondering, at the time of my counting, including myself and my girlfriend, there were 24 women present. 24 out of hundreds. But you know what?
Shout out to the girlfriends and the real fans.
Yep. I'm here as a real fan, a real head. I'm here to reclaim PTA for the ladies. And, you know, having to not wait in line for the women's room before the movie starts is just an extra blessing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Were you at the screening that Paul Thomas Anderson was at, or no? That was the next night.
I was so upset. It was actually the screening right before ours, and I came straight from work. I was going to get tickets to that one, and I was coming from work, so I was like, oh my god, let me be safe side. I'll get the late one. But no, he was at the one right before ours with Leonardo DiCaprio and Chase Infinity. And that I saw the behind the scenes. It looked like a really excited crowd. And they've been doing that a couple times. They did it at Universal City Walk also. And just really getting the word out about this movie, which PTA tends to do for his new movies a lot, but at least in terms of showing up locally at theaters. But this is kind of a first for Leo. I feel like Leonardo DiCaprio does not do a lot of press for his movies. So he's
really out there on this one.
He is a believer.
That's incredible. I'm gonna see it in VistaVision this Friday. One of the last things I do before I fly to see some friends for a little bit. Maybe we'll see, you know, how regular the podcast will be once I'm traveling, but it'll be a nice little send off of Los Angeles as I a mini send off as I head into that East Coast fall.
Yeah, if you're missing the podcast for the next few weeks, you blame Evan because Evan is in New Jersey, of all places, instead of sitting in his house, putting up a background behind him and talking about movies with me. There you go.
All right, well, let's get into the movie, yeah?
Yeah, let's talk about One Battle After Another. This is PTA's 10th feature film, released September 26, 2025, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, written by Paul Thomas Anderson, and adapted from the novel Vineland by Thomas Pynchon, produced by the late Adam Somner, Sarah Murphy, and Paul Thomas Anderson. Starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Regina Hall, Teyana Taylor, and Chase Infinity. Evan, did this pussy pop for you?
Oh my god, I gotta go. This you know, we've been talking about this, the excitement for this movie for a few weeks. Gabby kind of outed me as saying, I don't really have many feelings about this movie. And that's true. I like Paul Thomas Anderson's films a lot. They're just not the ones that they're all masterpieces. Everyone I've seen, I'm like, that's great. But this one, I think, really changed the game for me. I was so entertained. I was so enthralled by it. Reading about the film, listening to conversations about the film afterwards has only made me respect and revere it more. And I can't wait to watch it again. Yeah, I was I think this film is awesome. It's like, I don't know what else to say there.
You can say that you
so yeah, I guess it popped for me. It popped for me.
Yeah, it popped for you. Not to get into spoiler territory so soon, but I promise you that is a reference to the movie. I'm not just like sexually harassing Evan. But yeah, this movie was absolutely incredible, start to finish. It's a 2 hour and 40-minute movie. It's quite long, but you truly don't feel it at all. Like it was something that I don't think that there is a part of this movie that drags. There's nothing that I would really cut from it. I think that every character serves an incredible purpose with their screen time, and that PTA is really purposeful about the screen time that he gives to each character. This movie opens with sort of a prologue about the first half hour, which is really the Teyana Taylor time that we get. And boy, does she make use of it. She is blowing everyone off the screen for that half hour. Including Leonardo DiCaprio. They're in scenes together and you don't care about Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. There's something that's like so incredible at watching someone who can command the screen the way she does with a character that is also kind of demanding. You know, not usually are those two don't have to be intertwined, but they are in this. And it never came off as like showy or anything. It all felt like PTA in general has an incredible way of like getting you into the world of his movies like seamlessly and letting you really just like from the get-go just experience like this is what the world looks like and this is what it is. And this one is no exception. Like you really just buy all the characters, their roles, everyone you meet in the first 40 minutes, the mission that they're on. And you quickly realize, like, once her character meets Sean Penn's character, you're like, and now we're in a PTA movie.
Yeah, that's kind of the dead giveaway, but they do meet within the first 5 minutes. I mean, this is truly an off and running movie. The propulsiveness is felt from the very first opening shot. You know, the opening shot, Teyana Taylor is running. We don't know where she's running, and we find out very quickly that it is towards a detention camp at the Mexican border. And no, in case you're wondering, this part of the movie is not in present day. This part of the movie is in the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s is when it's supposed to take place. We only learn later that this is sort of a flashback that is starting the movie, but it speaks to the timeliness of this movie. It speaks to the message that PTA is trying to get across with this film. From my understanding, the novel, which I have not read, takes place in the 80s. So this was more of an update of an adaptation for him. And it circles 60s revolutionaries and and how their lives changed in the 80s. And this is kind of a point that I think is being made where with the title One Battle After Another, but also with this emphasis on revolution and the push for social change from, you know, these organized groups, is that it is generational. It has never stopped, you know, like there always is one, whether we think of it as the 60s radicals or we're thinking of it in the terms of the present day. Like this is kind of an evergreen social topic that just kind of comes in waves, and it's always there in some form or another.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I was definitely very struck by how prescient the movie was, and I think you're right. Just like speaking to the timelessness of that and fighting power and like corrupt power systems, and then what happens when necessarily inevitably, but what happens when you do have to lay down the fight, and what does what happens to your life, but what happens to the generation below you, and all of that stuff. And we can get into some more of those thoughts, as I'm sure we will a little bit later on. I think just before we dive too much more into like the movie's plot and things like that, any other like kind of broad spoilery things that you'd like to mention?
I just want to blanket call out all the performances in this movie are absolutely incredible. Every single person is able to hold the screen in a way that I haven't seen them do before, whether it's just because of character reasons or presence or what have you. But Leo is in a different form than we've ever seen him. We're meeting a new kind of leading lady in Chase Infinity, a new young actor that, you know, has only been in 1 or 2 television series before this, brand new to the scene. Sean Penn, good lord, Sean Penn. I don't know what he's been up to other than bulking up for this role. PTA said that he's been working on I'm serious. PTA has been out there saying that this script has been in the works for about 20 years, like that he's been wanting to make this for a long time. And part of me really wondered when I saw Sean Penn come on screen and how like built he is and bulky, and like there are veins are popping out of him. And I'm like, I know Sean Penn is not always this built. So has he just been staying in character for 20 years, like waiting to get the call that this movie has been greenlit?
Yeah, when I saw him, I was like, there's no way that's him. That's nuts. His haircut in this movie is wild.
Oh, the haircut is insane.
Yeah, the way the character walks is crazy. I've heard a lot of comparisons to Vince McMahon.
It's WWE. Not a walk, like, it's a waddle. It's like a waddle. He's like a penguin.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, if you're interested at all in seeing a movie that is, you know, incredibly character driven with big bursts of action from one of the greatest living filmmakers. You should seek this movie out in absolutely whatever format is available near you. You know, there's been so much emphasis on how to see it and what format is the right format, but there might be a
just
certain format that you prefer. Yeah, but you just see it. It's going to look good in any format. It's going to, the shots in this movie are going to blow your mind, no matter if it's in IMAX or standard or 35 millimeter.
Yeah, and go see it for Benicio del Toro saying a few small beers. Just, you'll know what that means when you get there.
A few small beers.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into let's take a hard right into Spoilerville as we get into a little bit more about this movie. Because there's just so much to talk about, and you never know what might slip in this because this movie is great. It's very there's just like a lot going on in it. We after that prologue, Teyana Taylor's character gets captured. She ultimately rats out the rest of her revolutionary group, the French 75.
Whoa, Evan. Whoa. I know that you're gonna give like a general summary, but I'm going to need you to walk the viewers and the listeners through the first scene with Teyana Taylor at that detention camp. Tell us about her first meeting with Sean Penn to kind of prepare us for the rest of the synopsis. Because sitting next to Evan during this scene has been one of the greatest joys of my life.
Well, I don't remember how I reacted, I'll be honest.
Maybe that's for the best.
Okay, so Teyana Taylor, her and the rest of the French 75 infiltrate the detention center. She goes to confront Sean Penn's character, who is ostensibly the kind of leader or leading this group or this operation. She manages to take his gun, his hat, zip ties him, and then she says, "Get up," and he starts to stand up, and she's like, "No.
Not on your feet."
And not on your feet, and the camera goes down, and it's like his crotch is in the foreground, his face is in the background, and you realize she's trying to like get him to, get an erection in that moment.
She is completely wielding her power in that moment, not just as a revolutionary, but in terms of reading that this man is a little bit aroused by this military guy. And that sets the frame for the rest of the movie in a very important way. Yeah. Now you can continue, Evan.
Yeah, it creates kind of a love triangle of sorts between her, Sean Penn's character, Lockjaw, and Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Ghetto Pat, his code name, who eventually they have a baby together. That baby is her name is Charlene, but after Teyana Taylor starts to rat everyone out, the feds are descending on the rest of the group, right? And we get a kind of brutal Goodfellas esque montage of the group.
Very Goodfellas influenced, and Ghetto Pat and Charlene are forced to go underground, go undercover, take new identities as Bob and Willa Ferguson, and that is how they live their lives. And then the movie takes
for 16 years
16 year
time jump.
16 years. We get a very swift time jump to Bob and Willa's lives ever since, and we see that Bob has been this kind of burnout. Like the revolution has really taken its toll on him, losing Teyana Taylor, whose character's name is Perfidia Beverly Hills, another iconic character name. So the loss of Perfidia from his and Willa's life, being a single father, and having to live with this idea that at any given moment they could be found out, they could be arrested, they could be exposed for who he really is. So he's living in a state of paranoia for this entire opening to the movie.
Yeah. And relatively off-grid, right? Even though now it's ostensibly modern day.
Hmm.
They
They're
don't
off
have
the
like
grid.
modern cell phones, or they say they don't have modern cell phones and things like that.
He
But they
has
are
one
kind of
that
like
goes
part of
on a
this.
1G network, Evan. Don't you remember what his
Yeah.
like French 75 compatriot is like, you can use a phone, but only on the 1G networks. They don't scan those anymore. So PTA is giving you guys tips in case you want to go off the grid.
Oh no, my friend Sam's gonna get a 1G phone. Jeez Louise. Um, yeah, and but they they have a life there, right? Willa goes to high school, and I guess Bob has friends, and they play Steely Dan music or something.
Yeah, and they get drunk and drunk
Yeah.
and high all the time. There's a contentious scene between Willa and her father where she is kind of parenting him and as he is trying to parent her.
Mm-hmm.
We get the sense that this relationship can be a little bit contentious, but that it's ultimately
Mm-hmm.
very loving and that Bob is doing everything that he can to protect them.
Yeah. And what really sets the movie into motion is just the Sean Penn's character
Reintroduction
is
of Sean
invited to
Penn.
join.
Mm-hmm.
He's invited to join a club, an association called the Christmas Adventurers Club. And they're basically a white supremacist group, and they ask him, you got to make sure you're clean. And he realizes that there's still people out there from his past that may know that he in the words of his character in the movie, he loves black girls. He loves
He
them.
does, yeah. He he's asked if he ever had any kind of relationships with black women, and he lies. He lies in that scene. He says no, absolutely not. And that's one of the most crucial scenes, I think, of the movie and of his character. It's the only point where PTA is trying to get us to feel something, to feel bad for this character, I think, where he lies and he walks out of the room and you could see that in his face that he is upset that he had to lie about this, or that he is thinking about Perfidia. He is thinking about how she got away. And he's thinking about the fact that he did love her. So, and the conflict that comes with that, and at the same time being identified by this group for, I can't quote it completely, but they want him because he has been helping with the immigration, what do they call it, Evan? I'm trying to remember. It's like the immigration crackdown is not how PTA puts it, but something to that effect, to making America pure, as they would put that. They definitely used the word pure a few times, and the people around us were squirming. It was like, oh God, not in this context. You don't want to hear that word. Especially not me and Evan, who, according to the Christmas Adventurers Club, you and I would not be native sons of this country, Evan.
Yeah.
We're not invited.
Definitely not.
Not even my white
Not
half.
invited.
Italian? Get out of here. So, yeah.
So then he descends on their city of Bacton Cross with the rest of his what is it, the MK?
Oh my
something?
God, I don't know, but a ton of military might that he is able to wield, essentially to snuff out a personal problem, which is another part of this movie that I found incredibly scary. Just one high up military guy being like, okay, I have a personal problem. And then he makes something up. He's like, oh, by the way, Bacton Cross is a sanctuary city and we need to get rid of this heroin operation. Or he makes something up in order to deploy the military on this community, when all the while he is looking specifically for Bob and Willa.
Yeah. And then that's when really the movie just kind of like, if you already weren't like, dang, this movie's moving fast, this movie just like is off to the races after that. So rather than recount like all the steps like that happen in between there, just like, I don't know what... The score is incredible, right?
Oh my God.
It's moving us in a great way. Once Willa and Bob are separated and they are on two separate journeys, and we also follow Sean Penn's character on his journey to find them. There's three concurrent things happening, and yet it feels effortless. The way we move through each, the way the energy builds, the way the camera and the characters are moving. The editing. It's kind of like, it's like masterclass filmmaking. It really is.
It's seamless. It's seamless storytelling to me. Just the way that all of these things all of these storylines that are carrying a lot of weight, that all of them feel, their own. Like all of these could almost be their own movie. The Sean Penn storyline, the Bob and Willow storyline, and the French 75 members being found on their own storyline. Like those could almost be their own movies, but they are weaved together here so effortlessly that you see how they fit. You see how they, have been working together for 16 years that we haven't seen on film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But something that really hangs over the movie for me is that opening. I think that opening prologue hangs over this movie in a really impressive way. Specifically the Teyana Taylor portion. Teyana Taylor's character, as we mentioned, she is caught and she is essentially put into witness protection. She decides, with the help of Sean Penn's character, helping her to stay off the grid, helping her to stay out of prison in return for testifying against French 75 members, but she can't do it. She escapes, and we don't know where she is for the rest of the movie. We see her escaping and crossing the Mexican border, but we do not know where she is in the present day timeline. And we never see her again, is something that I was really hoping that PTA would hold to, and he does. But part of me was thinking like, oh my God, is Perfidia going to pop back up? Is she going to like somehow know via French 75 intel that her daughter is in danger, that Bob is in danger? I was thinking about it, but I love that PTA just lets her character and her presence and the decisions that character makes hang over this movie, because every choice that she makes is why the rest of this movie happens.
Yeah, that's a great point. And the kind of energy that her character brings to the beginning of the movie is very like bombastic, kind of like driven force is replaced with like the energy that the movie then supplies you, right? When she does return in the form of a voiceover and in the form of a letter to her daughter, all the way at the very end of the film, is very, very kind of powerful monologue, played over kind of her, moments of Willa reading it and recounting some of the events that happened, if I'm remembering correctly. And it just works really well because you are missing that character and suddenly you hear her voice and you're like, whoa, this is very
this
impactful.
Is what's been missing, right? Like if anything has been missing from this movie, it's been her. And you're wondering throughout the movie, seeing Willa go through all of this without knowing why. Willa is completely unaware of her mother's actions. Bob has told her that her mother was a hero. So her being captured and, Regina Hall's character swoops in and tries to save her, but they are ultimately found by Sean Penn. And Willa doesn't know why, the fact of being that clueless, Willa's not a clueless character. She's very smart and very driven. And we see elements of Perfidia's character in her, but she does have this element of her that quite literally is clueless to her background and where she really did come from. And Sean Penn's character coming in, Lockjaw finding her and forcing, zip tying her and forcing her to submit to a DNA test. That is a wake-up call. That is a crazy thing to learn about yourself by an insane man.
Well, I mean, speaking of the DNA test, like in the beginning, part of the story of recap that we omitted is that Teyana Taylor and Sean Penn's character, they eventually do have sex. And after that happens, and it's a very funny scene, but after that happens, it cuts away to her shooting a gun, being very pregnant. It feels pretty obvious that he's her father, right?
it felt incredibly obvious to me that that was the case and that this was going to be the plot of the movie. But I think that the movie does or wants to do a good enough job convincing you that Leo could be her father, because I mean, Perfidia and Ghetto Pat, they're a little hot and heavy. They are really getting into it for the first half of this movie. So it's like, maybe not.
Yeah.
To the point where I think that's what they want you to be thinking about when that DNA test does come up, is like, okay, well, what would happen if he's wrong? Like, this is a loose end that Lockjaw needs to tie up in order to become a Christmas adventurer, which he calls his higher calling in that scene. Very disturbing. But also just so funny the way that he says it, where he's like, I have a higher calling. I'm a Christmas adventurer. I was like, oh, okay.
And I think that's one of the great things about this movie is that, like, it is so funny that way, right? Like, where everything we're saying sounds really serious and it sounds like very political and very like action driven. And it is all that, right? But it is also just like very, very funny at the same time.
It's still a Paul Thomas Anderson movie. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Earlier you mentioned like Leonardo DiCaprio's character is like very goofy and like he's like, you know, kind of like a burnout. And one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when all he's trying to do is charge his 1G phone, and he's being led by Benicio del Toro into his character Sergio's apartment. He keeps trying to plug in his phone, and they keep having to move rooms, and the contrast of energy between Sergio,
his physical comedy
sensei being so calm and Leonardo DiCaprio being so big and so goofy. That dichotomy was so funny as the camera is just one take, just moving through this room and just seeing them just like, you know, try to plug in the phone, meet a new member of the family, unplug his phone, move to a different room, do it again. It's so funny, so good.
Leo's physical comedy level in this movie is off the charts. It's Wolf of Wall Street level. It's Buster Keaton level in certain moments. So it keeps you laughing despite the heavy subject matter of this film, and it only gets heavier after that DNA reveal, because, you know, there's this scene where they're kind of sitting together after Lockjaw has captured Willa, and they're waiting for these DNA test results. And it's hilarious. Like, she's like, why? He's like, well, you have any questions for me? And she goes, why is your shirt so tight? And he goes, I'm not a homosexual, if that's what you're thinking. Like, this movie, it's so funny, even in the heaviest scenes. And I mean, it's just, it has that way of making you think deeper thoughts about the country, about the military industrial complex, about relationships between fathers and daughters, and all these, you know, these underground organizations that may or may not still be operating in the present day, but it's keeping you laughing the whole time. And it is, I think, the only time that I was really, and I mean, this just shows that the movie works, is the only time that I felt like so heavy was when Lockjaw realizes that, yes, this is his daughter, and he tries to hand her off to a bounty hunter to kill her, to execute her, because he realizes that this is a problem for him if there's any proof that he was ever with Perfidia. And meanwhile, the Christmas adventurers have sent a bounty hunter of their own after Lockjaw, because they have realized this problem that Lockjaw has, unbeknownst to him. And so we kind of get a three-way chase in the third act of this movie. We have Bob and
that's a great
Sensei.
question too. Right. Okay. Keep going. Sorry. Yeah.
No, just that we end up having, we have Lockjaw and Willa being handed off to the bounty hunter. We have Bob in pursuit of the car that he thinks Willa is in, but is actually just Lockjaw now. And then we have the Christmas adventurer who has been sent to kill Lockjaw and possibly Willa. So it ends up being this incredible three-way chase.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask. Like, that part of the movie, I think, I was a little... I was thinking about it while we were watching. Do we think that the Christmas adventurer is trying to kill Willa too? Does he know? Like, does he
Yes.
actually know that that's her? Okay.
I think so. I think that this is, there's another very funny scene when they are employing that Christmas adventurer where like he has to go through a series of hidden tunnels to meet with the other Christmas adventurers, and the tone of that meeting is very much, we need to eliminate Lockjaw, but they're also referring to Willa. They're referring to that Lockjaw is in pursuit of Willa, in pursuit of cleaning himself, as they put it. So my interpretation was yes, that he has been sent not only to eradicate Lockjaw and this person that, that now knows about their organization that they can't have as a loose end, but also this mixed race child that goes against their manifesto, that goes against their existence. So it does take a very deep, dark turn when you realize that is the real danger here, is not even that Lockjaw could kill her, because we see that he can't. He hires somebody else to do it.
Yeah, he can't kill her. Yeah.
He can't kill her. Like he like, for all that he is this big macho military guy, he's not prepared to kill his own daughter. He hires somebody else to do it. And yeah, I think that the deeper meaning and the more overarching villain of this film and the real evil that PTA wants us to take away from this is the Christmas adventurers. It's not like, even though they are in far less of the movie, it's almost like in that amazing car chase at the end of the movie. Tell me you didn't feel the same thing that I did when we see that Willa has escaped and is, driving her car zip tied, steering the car down this crazy long road in back of me. And you see a car revving up behind her and you think, oh my God, it's Bob. Bob is going to find her. Oh my God. And you see that it's the bright blue Mustang that the Christmas adventurer drives. And you're like, oh shit. There is another, like it's not like she's home free. She can't just go find her dad. Yeah. There is this other lingering evil that she doesn't even know about that's on her tail, that is on her, like, that is seemingly pursuing her for a reason that she doesn't even know about. And when she finally, like, ingeniously stops the car and causes a crash and has the Christmas adventurer step out of the car, and she speaks those code words to him from the French 75 to determine if he is a friend or foe, she still doesn't know who he is. She still does not know what a Christmas adventurer is. She just knows that she is in danger. And I think that heavier danger being just lurking outside for any of us is what PTA really wants to portray and what he successfully portrays.
Yeah, it's not to be whatever, but it is like one battle after another. Like you may stop one threat, but what is the other thing behind that, and it goes beyond that. Yeah, I mean, just some incredible stuff top down. I mean, we've talked about like the performances, the energy, the score. The movie just moves at such a great pace, doesn't really feel its length at all. And I really appreciated like all the like themes and things we're talking about, like the way that it's not like hitting you over the head with anything either. It just is all so intricately woven together and put on display for you, and
pure entertainment.
I think, pure entertainment indeed. Any final words on One Battle After Another?
I was right. Evan, I was right to the world, but I want to say specifically to Evan that I was right and that this movie not only is very good, but it is going to be very important. And I think that it's going to stand the test of time. I think that this is going to live on as one of PTA's one of his better achievements. I think we talked a little bit about this with Wes Anderson, and how neither of us agreed that Wes Anderson has never really made a bad movie. Here's another Anderson who has never made a bad movie. You might like some more than others, but like none of these movies, like even if One Battle is somehow like you're like, I don't feel it, no one is going to walk out of this movie saying like, oh, it was bad. It was badly made. You can't.
Yeah. And I is this like, where does this rank for you? We don't have to do a full ranking.
Oh my God.
Like, roughly, where does this rank for you?
I mean, I think it's going to stand. I'm going to need some time to just like let it sit with me. It's been all that I'm thinking about for the past few days. Like I've just been constantly thinking about this movie, but I think it's going to sit pretty high. I mean, I think that my other main PTA favorites are Phantom Thread and Boogie Nights would be maybe, but those would be my top two. I'm not sure. Maybe One Battle will crack top 3 at some point. What about you?
Yeah, I think the top for me.
It's top?
I don't even have to.
It's just
I think
top?
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Less serious cinephile, Evan Yee.
Thank God. That's the title I've wanted my whole life. Well, I guess on the cinephile track, and also another movie with a propulsive energy and big car chases, let's talk about The French Connection. Okay.
The French Connection, released October 7th, 1971, directed by William Friedkin, written by Ernest Tidyman, based on the novel by the same name by Robin Moore, produced by Philip D'Antoni, starring Gene Hackman, Fernando Rey, Roy Scheider, Tony Lobianco, and Marcel Bozzuffi.
French Connection won many Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Gene Hackman, Best Film Editing, and Best Adapted Screenplay. All awards that one battle after another has a real chance of repeating. Throw in some Best Supporting Actresses in that. Yeah. What do you think?
What are you thinking, Evan? Are you feeling at this moment that the one battle hype is justified? It's right about, it's peaking at the right moment? Because I
think just it's just a very timely movie, it came out at a time that I think it's always, you talked about it, it's timeless in a sense, but never more so than now in certain regards,
Yeah, and I think that there is going to be, I heard somebody describe this as what could be Paul Thomas Anderson's The Departed moment, coincidentally another movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio. In which like Martin Scorsese had already made many masterpieces in his career before he was finally given his moment in the sun at the Oscars for The Departed. And Paul Thomas Anderson has been nominated for, I believe, 11 Academy Awards and never won. This feels like the right momentum, the right year. It feels like his publicists certainly know that too. And that everyone is out here trying to promote this movie because they want people to see it, but also because PTA and his team deserve the recognition after so many incredible films.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so, and I think it, with the backing of a major studio with the biggest budget he's ever had, like I think that's all gonna be true for this movie. Speaking of budgets,
yes.
Box office.
Box office is tricky here. So PTA, as we know, beloved and renowned filmmaker, but is not exactly known as a box office king or a mass appeal kind of filmmaker. But One Battle had long been rumored to be his most mainstream play to date. But we all know that box office will ultimately be the judge of that. So what do we think of One Battle's box office prospects, Evan?
I think, it's already made $48.5 million worldwide, which I think feels pretty good for a movie like this. Like, it's I think it's gonna do all right. I think let's maybe double it, 90, 80 minimum.
80 minimum. That
Hopefully.
Would safely take him from, that would safely take the top spot from PTA's current biggest earner at the box office, which was There Will Be Blood, which I think made a little bit over 70 million at the box office. But a big, bit of banter around LA specifically this weekend was that One Battle is, as you noted, Evan, PTA's highest budgeted film to date. The rumored budget is somewhere between 130 and 175 million. And will it make that back? Will it turn a profit? So are you thinking that it's going to make, 90 million domestic or worldwide total?
Probably worldwide. Yeah, I don't know if it's quite gonna beat its budget number, if I'm gonna be honest. But it'd be nice to see.
It would be really nice to see. I'm not sure if that is going to happen either, but I hope that it does. And I really, even though it seems James Cameron will be taking its IMAX screens, I hope that this movie has legs. I hope that the word of mouth is strong throughout award season. I hope that more and more people find it and that more and more people want to rewatch it and see it in different formats, see it for themselves, and let all of those, deeper story layers soak in.
You know what Warner Brothers should do? They should get, because they are doing Sinners and One Battle After Another, just have 70 millimeter day. Just have both, play both. Let people do a double feature. Just do that back to back.
That would be
I know you don't have
incredible.
enough room in the AMC to do that, but
that would be amazing for me, but also for this podcast. Warner Brothers, contact us. But I'm not sure that One Battle will make its budget back, but I'm also really, really sure that it's not going to touch what The French Connection did in 1971. Back in 1971, The French Connection made $75 million theatrically from a $2.2 million budget. That is the equivalent to $600 million in 2025. So The French Connection was a hit. It was a smash hit. The theaters were brimming. People were loving it.
Yeah. I mean, and what's like The French Connection? It's guys being dudes.
It's guys being dudes.
Drug ring.
Cars chasing.
Car chases. It's just New York being real gritty.
It's New York grime, and also a little bit of French elements, French chateau for the girlfriends that are watching. The elements, but French Connection, man, what a movie! What a tactical movie, like everything in this movie just feels so real when you watch it, it truly almost feels like the equivalent of just shooting something in New York on your iPhone. Like it feels like it just happened. Yeah, it feels really
here. Like very in a very different definition of the sense, but it feels really like raw, right? Like I feel like One Battle After Another is also that way, but it's very like orchestrated and directed well, but it does feel just very like this is like it's like bah, and I just feel like French Connection's kind of like that too.
It is.
It's like vibes and vibes and violence.
Yeah, and guys with funny names. One Battle After Another has Lockjaw, and now we have Popeye and Cloudy in in French Connection. But this movie, it's a classic, and it's a classic for a reason. It's one of those like procedural drug ring, crime movies that once you see it, it's sort of what you talk about a lot when we talk about the inspiration for this podcast, where you go back and you see what the origin of so many tropes and so many storytelling devices that we love today come from, like where this all came from. And I feel like so many police procedurals, yes, but just like crime movies owe a great debt to The French Connection.
I mean, it's just like, I feel like there isn't a ton going on with the characters themselves, right? But like, it is just like the plot like keeps you engaged. You are just like there for the ride of like what they're figuring out and like how they're going about doing it. Yeah, and you got one character who's kind of bubbling, who's kind of a fuck up, and you got another guy who just wants to go home.
Yeah.
Roy Scheider.
Roy just wants to go home. Like Roy just like he's done with this.
Yeah.
Poor Cloudy.
Poor Cloudy.
But yeah, man. I feel like you hit a good point there where this, French Connection is not a very character forward movie, but it is incredibly plot forward and incredibly propulsive in how it peels back the layers of the story with every scene. Every scene is telling you something new about this case, about this drug lord that they are chasing, in a way that is, you know, subtle. Like nothing is a huge whiz bang reveal in this movie, but it feels that way. It feels like it's hitting you like, oh my God. Down to like the very end when I don't want to skip ahead, but I was really taken this time watching. I've seen this movie before. I rewatched it today. I watched it for the first time a few years ago, or 2 years ago now, when director William Friedkin passed away. Because Friedkin directed a great many great films in his life, but this was one of his crowning achievements, and specifically his Oscar achievement. So, and I hadn't seen it. It felt like a blind spot, and I filled that in. And I think that this time around watching it, just I noticed different things. I noticed different details, and Friedkin is known for his great action set pieces, like his car chases in this movie and in Sorcerer, but also the quiet moments in his films. And the moment of revelation at the end of this movie where Cloudy and Popeye have found the car, but the drugs are being smuggled in, and they know that the drugs are in this car because they've had a mechanic tear it apart, and they keep weighing it, and they're like, it's 120 pounds more than it should be. The drugs are in this car. And then like it's Cloudy who figures it out and is like, wait a second, you took everything apart, but what about this? Like, and what about the I forget what they're called. Oh my God. But it's almost like it's like what you step on to get into your car.
Yeah.
And they rip those out, and lo and behold, a lot of heroin. And they don't give it like this big moment where it's like Cloudy and Popeye holding it and being like, we got it, oh my God. They just look at it, they confirm that that's what it is, and they put it back in the car and seal it up. And you're like, what are you doing? You got them. You got this guy. But they don't. And also the people who are supposed to transport that car are quite literally standing in the mechanic's office. Like you're screaming at yourself like, oh my God, go arrest these people right now. You have the evidence. But it's just this beautiful, quiet moment of realization, and like on their faces, like, we got them. And they close it up, they seal it, and they let them drive off in this car.
Yeah, I almost forgot that part too for a second when he's walking the French actor. He's like, oh, you know, like, so your car got stolen. I'm like, oh, he's about to walk him away so he can arrest him, and then he just gives back the car. I was like, what are you doing? And then when they literally reconvene, like, I'm like, oh, that's what they're doing, you know. Yeah.
And it's just that scene when I love watching that scene also, that the car scene goes right into where they take the car to the buyers, and they bring out the drugs, like exactly where we just saw them, under those boards. They test it. You get to see it being tested, like for purity, for quality. And you see all of these men around it just smiling and doing business. And they're like, ha ha ha, we're going to make a lot of money off of getting people addicted to heroin. And you think like, oh my God, have they won? Have they done it? And they drive off, and there's Popeye and Cloudy having closed off the bridge so that they can't get away in their car. It's, you know, just the little wave that Gene Hackman gives too. Yeah. Absolutely iconic. It's the first thing that comes up when you Google this movie.
Yeah, I mean, call back to when, you know, the Frenchman invaded him on the subway, right? He waves to him as the subway's going by. Yeah, I mean, and even just, you know, kind of working our way back, right? There is this pursuit that after Popeye evades getting sniped outside of his apartment by one of the other French drug traffickers, there's this incredible chase scene where you're like, how are you filming this, and we're understanding it when you're editing, but the gunman is on a subway train while Popeye is driving underneath the elevated train, looking up. We cut to the subway, we cut back to him, he's looking around, he gets hit by a thing, he looks back up, they're driving, and it's like, how are we moving back and forth, and how are we keeping in, but your mind totally gets it, you totally get what's going on. It's this chaotic thing that just feels impossible, but it's like magic that it works.
It works, and the fact that we can follow it as an audience is even more magical. But yeah, I mean, in 100%. Case you were wondering, listeners and viewers, why we would choose this movie, other than what we mentioned before, to pair with One Battle, it's basically that scene that Evan just described. That pursuit scene, that chase scene, that element of cat and mouse throughout this movie is something that PTA himself has named as an influence for One Battle. Along with the score, along with the, crazy hats, but that pursuit, that chase, that element where, you feel like they're about to get caught and they just miss, that I don't think it's ever been done better than in The French Connection.
Yeah, it's so good. And like, it's, and just, I mean, one battle after another just is like that energy, but like for 5 times the length, right? Whereas like French Connection allows you to build to it. It's just like that the whole time in one battle.
I mean, what French Connection does do that I don't think One Battle wants to do quite so much is that there's almost a satisfaction in French Connection when the Frenchman gets away the first time. Like there's like we kind of feel like, oh, he did it. Like when he's on that subway and he does the wave, we feel like, oh, he did it. He got, like, Popeye got away because he didn't get sniped, but the Frenchman's just slipped away, and it's satisfying. And you don't quite know why, but it feels good. But for some reason, of course, I mean, the Frenchman, yes, he's a villain. He is a drug kingpin. But he is not quite what Sean Penn is in One Battle, which is a military leader / white supremacist. So we don't quite feel that way when Lockjaw gets away. Like when Lockjaw, is doing his walk through the desert after having survived a shot to the face by the Christmas adventurer guy. We're not feeling that way. We're not feeling like, oh, whew, I wonder what's going to happen next for this villain. We're like, why won't this Nazi die?
Yeah, dude, when he got up, I think you and the rest of our theater let out just a collective groan that he was still alive.
It's true. We were like, what? But something about something about that death for him didn't feel satisfying enough. I wonder if that's why PTA did it. Because something about him being shot in the face by the Christmas adventurer, I was like, damn, I really wanted him to get his, but like because of Willa or because of Bob or somehow Perfidia airdrops in from wherever she's been in hiding and just kills him. But no, it didn't feel quite so satisfying. And then eventually when Lockjaw does die, it's kind of just, I don't know. How did you feel about that? How did you feel about Lockjaw's eventual death?
Listen, it's one battle after another. I mean, he battles out there in Backton Cross, and then he's got to battle the people he thinks he's got his back because they, he didn't fit in, and he didn't fit into their messed up club, and they're like, I'm sorry, you didn't catch on to this. We got you.
That has me thinking.
And we also get the great line. We get the great line of Seaman Demon.
Yes, a Seaman Demon. he says he was raped in reverse, and that's how Willa happened. Because he was raped in reverse by a Seaman Demon. And
what's the response to that? He goes, someone goes, and how would that work?
Yeah, it's Tony. It's Tony Gilroy. I think he's like, and not Tony Gilroy. Oh my God, Tony Goldwyn. Tony Goldwyn. He's like, and how would that work exactly?
Yeah.
but that has me thinking, actually, because at the end of The French Connection, so there is this satisfying like moment where Popeye seems to have caught the Frenchman, but the Frenchman does ultimately get away. after this pursuit. He escapes on foot. Popeye never catches him. So
the credits confirm, yeah.
The credits confirm that he is never caught. So this has me thinking, because I did find I even turned to you at the end of one battle, and I was like, a little bit about the Sean Penn death, about the Lockjaw death. I was like, oh my, it just, something about it felt a little underwhelming. And now I'm thinking, do you think that this movie could have packed even more of a topical punch if Lockjaw had gotten away via, like, the Frenchman? Like, if he was just lurking out there still, like, still in the military system somehow.
I like what I like what this is, because it's almost like the way it's almost presented. It's like, this guy can do all the right moves to be in this, like, part of the world he wants to be, and yet he'll never be good enough for the people he wants to be with, right? And I think it's a really interesting commentary of just like, well, if you're gonna, like, appease the MAGA crowd, right, or whatever, and if you don't fit you don't check all the little boxes that they want you to check, ultimately it's gonna come to you, and you're gonna get cut too. And I think it's like, in a way, it's like, not a cautionary tale per se, but it's like, not even those guys are safe from the threats of the world, right? Because there's always going to be someone looking to cut someone else out, which is terrible truth and reality of this world.
Okay, I think you just talked me into this. Not that I wanted Lockjaw to survive by any means, right. But I felt a little bit, like, just something a little bit off about his death. But that makes a lot more sense to me when you think about it that way, that he wasn't even good enough for this group, this ultra exclusive group of Nazis. And you do get to see him burn alive, or burn unconscious, which is kind of satisfying.
Yeah, that's true. And it's like, ultimately, like, very unceremonious for him, right? As someone who has, like, committed himself to being, like, a soldier.
That's true. It's not like he's gonna
tossed out with the trash.
That's true. He's not gonna get any kind of grand send off or military funeral. It's gonna be like he never existed. That I like that more after talking about it with my friend Evan. But the French Connection, the ending did really hit me this time, because all that I just spoke about, the car, taking the heroin out of the car, the heroin testing, the standoff at the bridge, all of that is the last 10 minutes of this movie. Like, it's incredibly fast, and to the point where I was like, I paused and I was like, what do you mean there's only 3 minutes left of this movie? And because, as Popeye goes off in pursuit of the Frenchman, it just cuts to black. We hear a gunshot and it cuts to black. Not to get into TV here, but sound a little familiar.
Tony Soprano, your ending called.
That ending is just so, like, I got that real feeling of like, damn, we don't end movies like this anymore. We don't do it like this anymore. Yeah,
because you would have some type of epilogue or something, right? Like just the sheer kind of ballsiness of that, of the movie to just stop in that moment of such a heart beating or heart racing, that's the word, racing moment. I mean, that moment when they're going through the kind of warehouse or whatever it is,
your heart is that pounding.
Feels like forever.
Yeah.
And I think I remember when I saw it at one of the rep theaters here for the first time, I kind of like, we talked about when I'm scared, I kind of like tip my hat down because I was like, oh no, are we jump scaring? Like, is this it? And and I got those feelings again, just seeing the way the camera moves in that space, and just, it really, really draws you in. And that's not to say that like the rest of the French Connection is like uninteresting or anything, right? It's just a lot of build up, but it's a lot of, again, just like this raw, tactile, kinetic filmmaking in New York that feels, and the imagery of it feels really just it just feels really I keep saying raw, but there's no really there's no other way to put it. I think it's just it's just all like right there for you. And the French Connection, also very short movie, hour and a half.
Hour and a half, crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
That's it.
Should we get into some alternate pairings about PTA has been in the press talking about a lot of different movies, right, that you could watch with this.
He sure has, and those movies include The French Connection, but include Midnight Run and Running on Empty. Running on Empty I actually have not seen, but I really do want to now that he's mentioned it. It's another movie about kind of, revolutionaries that have gone underground and are trying to raise a child in a quote unquote normal way, and how the child is being impacted by their past. So that sounds like a really clean pairing to me. Almost too clean. But apart from what PTA has paired this with in his head, influence wise, Evan and I spoke about what we thought would be a good pairing. And I think we both agreed that what we would like, if we could do away with our own made up rules, what the best pairing would be is How to Blow Up a Pipeline from a few years ago.
Sure, yeah.
Really topical film about the sort of present day climate activists and how activism has taken a hold in this generation, in the newest generation. Really interesting film, but was deemed too recent to be the connection here.
Yeah. I think you also brought up some other films. Another William Friedkin film, Sorcerer. Another film that we talked about pairing was. You also mentioned Network, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I mentioned Network because it has a lot of similar tone to this movie, in which it's kind of like socially trying to comment on a lot of things that I think PTA is going for here. But it takes place in a news network, a little bit different, not quite the same settings, but yeah, it has a lot to do with media and very, very smart, very sharp in terms of its commentary on activism in the 70s and commentating on the news, which still holds up to this day. Something else I brought up was potentially doing a double PTA / double Pynchon, because PTA has already adapted a Thomas Pynchon novel before. He adapted Inherent Vice a while back, a movie that, as I said before, and I will stand by, PTA has never made a bad movie, but I do have my least favorites, and Inherent Vice is my least favorite.
I do think a lot of people would agree that Inherent Vice is a little bit lower on the list across the board. I feel like I've heard that sentiment expressed before.
Some people love it.
That and Hard 8 are the ones I've missed. Yeah.
Some people dig it. Some people love it. And they are allowed to have their opinions. But I thought it might be interesting just in terms of the adaptations, about how I think Inherent Vice is thought of to be a little bit more of a true adaptation, and this One Battle has been described more as a loose adaptation. And Evan, I see you have added one more to the list. Tell us what that is.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people compare the film to The Searchers, Western film directed by John Ford. I've heard it called this is the reverse Searchers, this film, potentially. But yeah, I think just like the energy of it and this the kind of like the pursuit of it, I think would have been interesting to kind of look at. Also, PT has mentioned Battle of Algiers being inspiration for him as well. There's a reference to that in the movie itself. Leo's character is watching that movie at some point. So yeah, a lot of great movies, I think, to pair with One Battle after another. But I say, why not make it one screening after another? Go watch the movie and then go watch it again. Prove us wrong on the box office.
Evan, I was just going to say that actually I want to break our rules. And I think that the best thing to pair One Battle after another with is One Battle after another.
Imagine that's like the cheat that we do. We're like, actually, you know what? We're just gonna do 2 hours on this movie because we want to just talk about it longer.
I could talk about this movie for 5 hours, but
I feel like I need to see it again.
You do, and you are going to see it again. Something interesting that they did at my screening that I went to at the Vista was they actually handed out these little punch cards with a little film reel on it for like how you see the movie. And you can like punch every different format that you've done, just like a dorky little marketing thing that I thought was cute.
I know.
But
it's
I
all
wish,
the rage now.
I wish that they handed it out at our first screening though, because I could have punched off IMAX 70 with a little sticker, and now I have to do it myself. How dare I?
Yeah, I know. Get
the
it
nerve,
together.
The
all
nerve.
the theaters in LA, just decide together unilaterally that you're just gonna do this together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There needs to be a Christmas Adventurers Club, but for theater owners in LA.
Oh God.
That would be so toxic. I don't want that, actually.
That'd be so toxic.
I don't want that. Unless it really exists and you guys are opening looking for a female member, then, call me.
Well, that's it for us today. If you're listening to us on audio, leave a review or comment, and don't forget to check out the video versions of these on YouTube at Back to the Future Pod. Thank you to Matt Prince for doing technical producing on this episode of Back to the Future. You can follow the podcast on Letterboxd at Back to the Pod. You can on Instagram at Back to the Future Pod. We will be back soon with another movie, another new release, and another movie to pair it, another movie from the past to pair it with. But until then, we'll see you later.
Bye.